In this episode, we'll take an even closer look at this new ape titan and reveal that this guy is not here to play any games. This animal will be a lot more terrifying than you think by the time you reach the end of this episode. To achieve that, we will cover 3 aspects of this titan which might help us understand this guy even better. We'll cover experience, physical attributes, and mental abilities, and a special surprise segment in the end. So without further ado, let's get right into the analysis platform. Also, don't forget that the content in this episode is pure speculation, based on what we have seen in the title reveal trailer and what we already know as fact in the Monsterverse. Having said this, let's begin with number 1, experience. Experience is a result of constant exposure to a certain force or repetitive situation that in turn helps you prepare better for the next noteworthy occurrence. This comes with time. Nothing gets a bunch of XP out of nowhere. Now, by looking at this kaiju's physique and taking a look at the vast array of skeletons in this clip, we can deduce that yes, this kaiju has lived a long time. And 2, there might be something special about this guy. It's likely that this thing is a skilled predator. Or you can also use the word hunter. This word now completely sheds new light on this titan. For those of you who consider yourselves hunters, you are now going to like this thing a lot more. Successful predators or hunters all have one thing in common: knowledge. This takes form in many things, such as 1, being able to track prey by identifying game trails, scat, traces of blood, disrupted terrain, heightened senses of smell, etc. 2, knowing how to identify the weak points of said prey, such as the neck, heart, or lungs. And more importantly, number 3, being able to develop a vast array of hunting tools and weapons. But we'll go ahead and add a 4th one. A smart and experienced titan like this will most likely understand that spreading its bandwidth by using traps would be much more useful. Placing these carefully in strategic locations where titans would wander by, ensnaring or trapping them where he can comfortably come and kill the trapped kaiju. That, or potentially go a step further and cap it off by taming his own smaller creatures to aid him during hunting. That, or forming some sort of symbiosis between itself and said creatures. We've mentioned this word in the channel before. It's where 2 creatures of different species form a bond that is in most cases beneficial to both. The Monsterverse is no stranger to this concept, so we shouldn't be surprised if we see this again in this film. So now that we understand that experience is something that potentially made this guy a good hunter, let's now cover some of its speculative physical abilities. In this video, we will entertain the idea that this animal can in fact be described as an avid hunter, and go as far as theorizing that this animal is very much fond of this activity, or else why would he continue to do this many times? We did discuss that this animal is deceivingly strong in a previous episode, but to recap, we mentioned that lanky ape builds don't necessarily mean weak physique. These fast twitch muscles allow this creature to inflict heavy impacts. But today we'll delve further and talk about the insane amounts of reach this animal has, especially when we compare him to Kong. By looking at these arms, we can already tell that this creature will have an edge when it comes to delivering blows to many opponents. Longer arms means you can reach the opponent before he hits you. But Orangakong here can take this even further, literally. Let us remind you that this guy is most likely capable of crafting its own hunting weapons, and a weapon frequently used by hunters that excels in both close and long-range combat are spears. Yeah, dude, even chimpanzees use these in real life. Spears can be used to keep the prey at bay, stab at a distance while keeping the wielder far away, and can be thrown with pretty good accuracy. We discussed how this guy most likely has the knowledge of the weak spots of many kaiju, maybe including Kongs and Godzillas. Knowing exactly where to strike, not just with spears, but with other weapons it might possess, both crafted weapons and powers it may have within its own body. In a previous episode, we discussed that this new kaiju probably has attributes that are not found in this Kong, because this guy's eyes glow blue, suggesting that Hollow Earth energy is also a factor here. It's possible that over time this creature learned to use this energy and voluntarily redirect it through its skeletal frame to any extremity, such as its fists and legs. Electric shocks have proven to, in some cases, immobilize a victim, which would be a very handy ability to have while hunting another kaiju. All these attributes are good to have, but in order to beat Godzilla and Kong in a 1v2 combat, we are going to need something more special. Mind games. That's right, no Titan can just pull up to Kong and Godzilla with a bunch of spears and hollow earth energy and expect to win. There's something that this animal probably has that can turn the balance of power. Apes have always been known to be incredibly smart, and some go as far as being able to effectively communicate with other species. We saw this happen in GVK when Kong was actually communicating with Gia. So, can this ape do the same thing or better? There have been some videos circling around claiming that Orangakong actually said something in the beginning of the trailer. Right now, we're still on the fence on this, given that it's kind of unrealistic to think that this Kong can actually speak English. But what we do know for certain is that this monster would have certainly learned to communicate with or even mimic other Titans, and especially with Kongs. That's right, even if Orangakong is able to get some points across to Godzilla, this thing will most definitely be able to communicate with Kong on a deep level. It would have been the first time he actually speaks to a member of his own kind, or close to. If this is true, then we can safely assume that this guy will begin to play mind games with him. Having said this, we are potentially seeing the first case of trash talking in the Monsterverse. This can also go as far as this guy learning about Kong's emotional weaknesses. But what's his emotional weakness? Well, upon meeting him, this guy would most likely figure out that he has lived alone his entire life, and has only a few things that he really cares about. Something like Gia, for example. You psychos watching this know where this is going. A crazy Titan like this, who enjoys the vile act of hunting and killing, will most definitely use this against Kong. In the next film, we must expect yet another tragedy, because the moment where this guy realizes that this girl holds a special place in Kong, he will do everything in his power to hurt this child. And in doing so, anger Kong so much that he'll probably be driven into making rash, uncalculated decisions in combat, which is exactly what this guy would want. This isn't the first time we have seen this dynamic play out. Back in Kong Skull Island, it was this skullcrawler, Ramarak, who literally tried to do the same thing. But what about Godzilla? Well, this guy isn't getting away from the mind games either. Now, we would like to imagine that pissing Godzilla off would not be a difficult task, given that in the previous film, Godzilla literally took this personally and proceeded to go apeshit. If this thing is indeed the type of hunter we think it is, it's not too far-fetched to think this guy keeps trophies as well. Probably even his fair share of Godzilla body parts. If this guy ever decides to pull up with bones of Godzilla's fallen ancestors, or worse, even wearing the skins of these fallen ancestors, this will become more than enough to inflict the desired raging effect on Godzilla. This scenario has become even more intense. But is this really all this new kaiju's doing? Is this thing actually this malevolent to come up with all of this on its own? This blue glow also suggests that there might be something going on in the background. It's also possible that this ape titan is being controlled, or at least doing the will of another greater power. Whatever this power may be, we'll be working on another episode to discuss this theory in depth. But for now, we'll move on to the last segment. How can this guy be defeated? Another reminder that literally all of this is speculation, but we need to explore two scenarios if we are going to answer this question. One is assuming that this creature is in fact controlled by another greater threat, which means that if this monster is ever to be liberated from this control, the greater threat has to also be defeated in conjunction. That's the boring answer. The fun answer is number 2. Both Godzilla and Kong somehow figure out that they can in fact be more powerful. More specifically, Kong. Now, it's not too far-fetched to believe that Kong can still harness the power of the Hollow Earth. After all, we do have a clue that hints at Kong also being able to transmit energy. If we go back to GVK in this clip, look closely. We can find that this axe handle glows when Kong raises it, indicating that there was in fact some energy transmission between this kaiju and the axe. If Kong ever learns this, then we are looking at possibly having a more powerful iteration of Kong in the next MonsterVerse film. Perhaps even powerful enough to level the playing field with this giant ape all by himself, allowing Godzilla to focus on any other threat that may appear later. Go check out a more in-depth discussion on this new Orangakong and its abilities on the Beast Hub podcast. Subscribe and tell them Gochi sent you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.